Good morning, Foxes and Badgers classes. It's Mrs. Martin here, and I'm going to take you through our reading for today. I thought it would be really nice if we focus this week our reading on the Romans, because I know that you all really enjoyed our topic of that. So our texts this week are all going to be linked to the Romans. So can you put the date and the title Ancient Rome into your book for me, please? Pause the video. Okay, before we start our text then, there's a few pieces of vocabulary that we are going to look at. The first word is founded. Rome was founded. So that means they created this new place. And I know we've looked at that vocabulary within our topic lessons. So when they say Rome was founded, that means that they created it. They created this new place, which eventually became a huge city. Uncivilized. Now, uncivilized, I know we spoke about a lot when we were looking at the Celts and Boudica. Remember, the Romans thought that the Celts were very uncivilized because they didn't think they knew how to behave in a correct and orderly manner. The Romans were very organized, weren't they? Whereas the Celts were the complete opposite. The other word we're going to look at is the word shrine. Now, a shrine is a special place where people go to worship. They're usually really decorated, normally lots of gold in them as well, and they might have pictures or symbols to show who or what is being worshipped. So we've looked at shrines within our RE lessons. They're a place where people go to worship. Okay, let's have a look at our text today. So our text today is called Ancient Rome. Let's have a look at section 1. The Romans had a story about how their city began. According to legend, Rome was founded by twin brothers Romulus and Remus, who were the sons of the god Mars. As babies, the boys were left to drown in the river Tiber by their evil uncle. But they were rescued and raised by a wolf. When the boys were older, they took revenge on their uncle and killed him. Afterwards, the twins decided to start a new city, but they squabbled about where to build it. What does that word squabbled mean? A good synonym would be that they argued about it. Romulus wanted to build it on the Palatine Hill, and Remus preferred the Aventine Hill. So we've looked at this story within our topic lessons. I'm sure you remember the story of the two brothers who were raised by wolves and how they helped to find Rome. To find out who was right, they looked for a sign from the gods. However, they couldn't agree on that either, and both thought the gods were favouring them. One day, the twins got in a fight after Remus made fun of Romulus. Remus was killed, and Romulus named the new city Roma after himself. So there's the story of how Rome was found, which we have looked at before within our topic lessons. Okay, let's look at section 2 now then. In the early days, Rome was ruled by kings. Romulus was supposedly the first king. The last king was Tarquin the Proud. He ruled until 509 BC. What does it mean if I'm talking about BC? We've done that in our topic lessons before. It means before Christ, so before the year 0. So actually, if we think about the fact that we're in 2021 now, this was about 2,500 years ago, a long time ago. He ruled until 509 BC, when the people of Rome drove him out. Rome then became a republic. The republic didn't allow one person to have complete control over the city. Instead, a group of men called senators shared power. So previously, Rome had been ruled by one king, but they became a republic, which meant that there were lots of people who were all in charge. They were all joint in charge. They shared that power instead. As the Roman Republic grew more powerful, so did its army. The senators could not always control the army, and sometimes they clashed with the generals. If they clashed with the generals, that means they didn't get on, they didn't agree about things. In 49 BC, so that's about 50 years before Jesus was born, Rome's greatest general was Julius Caesar. We've all heard about him before. He had complete control of the army, but he wanted to rule Rome like a king again. So he didn't like the fact that it had become a republic. He wanted all of the power. Some senators didn't like this, and they killed him in 44 BC. But it was too late. Julius Caesar had changed Rome. A few years later, his adopted son, Octavius, took power and became the first emperor of Rome. So this is when we had our first emperor here. Section 3. The Romans had lots of different gods and goddesses. There were gods for almost everything, like thunder, love, war, wisdom, and even the sewer in Rome. Do we know what a sewer is? A sewer is like the drainage system. So if you think about your pipes at home where your water goes when you put something down the sink or flush the toilet or let all the water out of the bath, it will go down the pipes and into the sewer. The Romans were always trying to keep on the good side of their gods. They made offerings at temples and shrines to make them happy. Remember, those shrines are what we looked at earlier. They also borrowed new gods from the people they conquered, like the goddess Isis from Egypt and Mithras from Iran. Some emperors were declared gods too, usually after they died. Later on, the Romans became Christians. Christianity was made the official religion of the Roman Empire by the Emperor Constantine in the 4th century AD. So that means in the year 400, it's the 4th century. 300, sorry. Before then, Christians got into trouble because they refused to worship the emperor as a god. Some Christians were arrested and put to death. So if we think about this section here, this was all about what? What would you summarize this section with? I think that I would summarize it by saying that this is all about the different religions there. It's talking about their gods and goddesses, and then it's talking about how they all became Christians. That became their official religion. So if I was going to summarize this part here and tell somebody what it was about, I think I would say it's about the different religions that the Roman Empire had. Section 4. At the beginning of the 5th century, so that's beginning in the year 400, the Roman Empire was starting to fall apart. It was constantly under attack from tribes from northern Europe. The Romans called these people barbarians because they thought they were uncivilized. We've learned that word barbarians before, haven't we? Especially when we were learning about Boudica. In 410 AD, a tribe called the Visigoths stormed into the city of Rome. They destroyed many of the great buildings and killed people as they went. Romulus Augustus, the last Roman emperor, lost his power in 476 AD. That's nearly 500 years after Jesus was born. He was replaced by a prince from Germany called Odoacer. From then on, the area that was once the empire was ruled by a collection of kings and princes from outside Italy. So I know quite a few people in Fox's class have been asking me, and we've got the answer now here, as to what happened to the Roman Empire. How did it eventually almost disappear? It became much, much smaller again, didn't it? Until it was entirely taken over by the northern sections of Europe. Okay, let's have a look at our questions today then. So, Today I'm actually going to go through the questions with you. I'm going to leave you to have a go at the retrieval questions by yourself because you are doing a super job with those ones. Remember, for the retrieval questions, the answers are in the text. So that's where we just need to skim and scan. These were called our quickfire questions, but I've just renamed it to retrieval because that's what I keep calling it to you, because that's what we're doing. Have a go at answering these questions for me, remembering to find the answer in the text. Pause the video here. Okay, question 1 said, what was the name of the twin brothers who supposedly founded Rome? And their names, of course, were Romulus and Remus. Now, I think I spotted a bit of a grammar error in there. I think it should be what were the names, because there were multiple names, weren't there? Well done if you had Romulus and Remus as your answers. Question 2. Who was Rome's greatest general? So I'm skimming and scanning my text and I'm looking for that word, greatest general, because I know my answer is going to be near there. Aha, here we go. Can you see how in the text it says greatest general? Now I'm going to read around this to find the answer. In 49 BC, Rome's greatest general was Julius Caesar. There we go. So I know I've got my answer. Rome's greatest general was Julius Caesar. Question 3. What religion did the Romans eventually convert to? They converted to Christianity. Well done if you had Christianity. Question 4. What did the Romans call the tribes of people who were trying to attack them? Well done if you said that they called them barbarians. And finally, who was the last Roman emperor? The last Roman emperor. Let's skim and scan our text for that answer. Can you see here that it says last Roman emperor? So we know the answer is going to be around here somewhere. And of course it says it was Romulus Augustus. So well done if you had that as your last retrieval answer. Okay, let's go on to the questions now that require a little bit more thinking. What is the purpose of this text? What do we think the purpose would be? Would we say that this text is a story? Is it trying to entertain us? Is it trying to teach us something? Have a go for me now. Pause the video. What do you think the purpose of this text is? Now, I know that if I were answering this question, I would say that the purpose of this text is to give some information about the Romans. So it's a non-fiction text, isn't it? It's not a story, it's not made up, it's telling us facts about the Romans. So I would put all of that information into my answer. Then when it says explain how you know by using examples from the text, that's where I would look back at the text and I would find some examples of facts, some things that tell me that it is an information text, that it's about the Romans. Now we can see that the title is Ancient Rome, so it's likely to be all about ancient Rome. I can see with how it is laid out that it's not laid out like a story. We've got it in short sections, and each section is linked to one particular thing. So our first section was all about how it was founded. Then we had a section all about the different leaders there. We had a section all about the religions. And then finally, we had a section about how the Roman Empire fell. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. At the beginning of the 5th century, the Roman Empire was starting to fall apart. Based on what you know about the Romans, why do you think the Roman Empire had started to fall apart? Explain in a full sentence. Can you pause the video here for me? have a look back at the text, particularly at section 4, and see if you can work out why the Roman Empire began to fall apart. Okay, we can see here that it began to fall apart because it was under attack from the tribes from Northern Europe. So that's one of the reasons, is that it was under attack from different tribes. Now these tribes were what they called the barbarians, okay? So perhaps because they were a very different type of army to the Romans, maybe that is part of why it fell apart as well. The Romans wouldn't have been expecting these barbarians to fight quite the way they did. It says that they stormed the city of Rome. So I can only imagine if they stormed the city that the Romans were not expecting it. They were quite surprised by it. So I think if I were doing my answer, I would say that it started to fall apart because it was constantly under attack from tribes in Northern Europe, and that they eventually stormed the city of Rome. And our last question today. The text you have read about ancient Rome was divided into 4 parts. Scan through the parts and give an appropriate subheading for each one based on its content. So what that means is, like we've spoken about already, if we have a look at section 1, what is it all about? Is it telling me about Boudica and how she attacked the Romans? No, so it wouldn't make sense for me to put the subtitle Boudica, would it? Because it's not about her. What would you say that this section is all about? See if you can come up with a subheading to go with it. Then do the same for section 2, section 3, and section 4. Pause the video here for me. Okay, let's see if I agree with your answers. I think that section 1 was all about either how Rome was founded, or you could put about Romulus and Remus. So either of those can be your answer here, if it's got something to do with how Rome was founded or something to do with Romulus and Remus. Number 2, this is all about the different leaders of Rome. So if you had something about how Rome was ruled, or something about it becoming a republic, or how they got their first emperor, any of those would work for this section. I think the best one would be something like the leaders of Rome. Number 3, what would be a good subheading for this? We spoke already about how this section is all about the different religions. So I think I would call this section the religions of Rome. If you've got anything to do with the different religions or their gods and goddesses, then I would definitely agree with you. And the last one is all about how the Roman Empire fell. Okay, so something about how the Roman Empire ended would be a really good subheading for this last one as well. Hopefully you've marked your questions as you have gone. Please do send them in to your teachers so that we can have a look at what a fantastic job you have done.